Our long-term 2017 Nissan Titan Pro-4X has served us well. It's taken various staff members off-road, hauled loads and mainly performed well in general commuting to and from work. Like owners who rely on pickups as their daily drivers, we've come to appreciate just how darn useful and comfortable this V8-powered half-ton truck can be. Granted, a vehicle this size and weight and powered by an engine that puts out 390 horsepower isn't going to be the most fuel-efficient thing on four wheels. Still, we've seen mileage ranging anywhere from 11 to 12 mpg in city and between 20 and 21 mpg on highway jaunts. With gas prices at their lowest point in years, fueling this beast is less of a concern than it was when gas was closing in on $4 per gallon here in California. And that view of fuel consumption is shared elsewhere where gas is now less than $2 per gallon and has contributed to the fact that truck sales are outstripping passenger cars. The higher ride height of our four-wheel drive Pro-4X contributes to its ease of operation. The large glass area, including the dip in the front side glass, adds to the panoramic forward view, and Nissan's backup and around vehicle camera views help immensely when wheeling this monster around parking lots and garages. An amply boosted power steering system contributes to that maneuverability. Being able to see and having plenty of grunt underfoot, torque is 394 pounds-ft, from the 5.6-liter V8 is great for passing and merging. Equally important, the 7-speed transmission does its part in making the Titan a breeze in everyday driving. The shifts are smooth, almost imperceptible, and it doesn't take much effort to summon a downshift with the press of the accelerator. This is a well-sorted drivetrain that has the muscle well matched to the vehicle's mass. While the Titan has plenty of car-like amenities, keep in mind it still is a rugged half-ton pickup. As a result, there is a bit of jump in its step, especially when the cargo bed is empty and you're traversing uneven freeway pavement. Part of this is due to the slightly stiffer off-road Pro-4X package. Still, in most everyday stop-and-go driving, there is enough give in the live rear axle and length between the axles to provide a moderately comfortable ride. So far, we've found that the Titan Pro-4X offers a multi-talented pickup that has good on- and off-road abilities that can function quite well as a daily driver.
The Nissan Pathfinder isn't quite all new for 2017, despite the fresher looks. Nissan's midsize family frigate has received a mid-cycle refresh to sharpen its looks while going a little easier on the chrome. The Pathfinder is still powered by a 3.5-liter V6 coupled with N-Stronic continuously variable transmission designed to do a good impression of an automatic while keeping the noise down. The latest generation of Stronic debuted in the Maxima a couple years ago, and as far as CVTs go, this one's pretty good. The 2017 update hasn't changed basic Pathfinder formula. This is still a big three-row SUV whose handling is optimized to tune out the outside world and the discomforts of busted road infrastructure. For the Pathfinder, this means generous helpings of body roll, a slightly floaty suspension that reminds me of Lincoln's of the 1990s, but in a good way, and a love for tackling interstates on cruise control. Visibility is good enough on the open road, but in parking lots the generous overhangs are tolerable only because there are parking cameras fore and aft. Interior design and quality is still where Nissan is ahead of the pack. The center stack is still a sea of buttons, but thankfully most of them are right where you want them. The busy layout features no fewer than 5 rotary dials and even a cluster of buttons inside what looks like yet another circular rotary dial, but after spending a couple days it's easy to get used to. The infotainment screen itself is almost a secondary feature in this mission control center, but overall it's a straightforward system that does not require too much menu spelunking. It's designed to be quickly learned because there is a big plastic button for just about everything. With a starting price of $44,460, the Platinum 4WD trim lives high up in the Pathfinder range. It's not an unreasonable price for a 3-row SUV with a very premium interior and an engine transmission combo that will please most buyers. The model I drove was optioned up to $44,685, and it had pretty much everything that parents looking for a big but not 90s big family SUV will want, save for distractor screens fitted into the front headrests. Overall, the Pathfinder makes a very good case for sticking with Nissan and not being tempted by Infiniti models from next door, which will serve up much of the same but at a higher price.
Everyone knows the Mongol Rally is a car killer. It's the sort of event where Mad Max meets the Paris-Dakar. And Chris Ramsey and his wife are going to do the event this year in an all-electric almost standard Nissan Leaf. He is carrying a spare tire. This looks like one of those plucky Mad Brits stories with which history is littered, and you do have to wonder just how easy it will be to find a high-speed electric charger in Kazakhstan or Siberia. Yet the Ramseys are sanguine. They have done some grueling long-distance preparation drives already. They've driven from John O'Groats to Land's End and from Edinburgh to Monaco. The 10,000 miles ahead of them in the Mongol Rally may be a trifle harder. There's no set route, so teams have to plot their course to Mongolia, and at least that gives them a chance to go via population centers where there are more likely to be recharging points, or simply a plug in someone's house. Their route goes from Goodwood to Belgium, on to Vienna and Istanbul, then to Baku and a ferry to Kazakhstan, then on to Siberia and Mongolia. It must be said the first part of the journey sounds a bit easier than the second. The car really is an all but standard Nissan Leaf with a wrap. The changes include raised suspension with sump guards and metal plates underneath to protect the braided brake lines and other parts from rocks and debris. Up top there's a roof rack with an LED light bar, which should make it possible to drive at night if necessary. Inside, the rear seats have gone to make way for storage. They're going to be in this vehicle for about 10 weeks, that's quite a challenge in itself. But this is a route that can literally dismantle really quite tough cars. So what are the Ramseys' preparations like? Basically they're banking on an electric car having less to go wrong, and if it does they will throw themselves on the kindness of strangers. It's certainly a plan. They don't know what the Russian is for electricity, but they have various adapters for the countries they go through and hope simply showing this will make it obvious what they're hoping to get. At the moment, they're on their way on this epic journey.
You can't beat a bit of nostalgia, especially when you get to our age. So the Subaru Levorg GT took us back to the days of steam trains and when rally cars looked like the models they were based on. The Levorg is the modern incarnation of the sporty Subaru, but it's a medium estate car with 522 liters of boot space with the rear seats in place and 1,446 liters with them folded, bigger than many rivals. It's quite a decent car to drive, maybe a bit firm for our old bones on some country roads but more bearable on the smoother black stuff, of which there is still some to be found. There's only one engine offered in the UK Levorg, a 1.6-litre petrol, with the flat 4 layout expected from Subaru. There's also only one trim level and it only comes with a continuously variable transmission, CVT. If this package doesn't appeal you may end up looking elsewhere for your next motor, but it's worth giving this Subaru at least a once-over. That CVT Lean-Artronic box takes drive to all 4 wheels, so it's a grippy car and was the natural choice to take to a classic car event at Sherburne Castle where parking was on a grassy field and rain was threatened. In the end, the rain mostly held off and the field was fit for any car to get going, but you never know. There's nothing worse than waiting hours to be towed out by a tractor because you've left the 4X4 at home. Naturally, the car show had its collection of Subarus, most in rally livery because that's where the Japanese marque made its name thanks to drivers Richard Burns and Colin McRae. The Levorg looks somewhat tamer but is no slouch to drive, despite its figures looking a shade on the slow side for true enthusiasts. When the going gets really tough, there's nothing better to get you out than a CVT box linked to a full 4x4 setup because it never changes gears so never loses traction. Dip the clutch in a manual 4x4 to swap ratios and you risk coming to a halt in really sticky conditions. It also helps that the flat 4 layout of the engine is one that thrives on low revs. Peak torque comes in at only 1,800 RPMs, which is incredibly low for a petrol engine. It was very tempting to go round a few of the Ferraris at the show and tell the owners we had a car with the same type of engine as them due to its horizontally opposed cylinders, but decided we'd rather poke around a few old rally cars from the 60s instead. They are fascinating beasts that endured some hellish trips in the days before carbon fiber and Kevlar made competition cars almost indestructible. 2 days before that show, the Levorg had whisked us to the Cotswolds and the Gloucestershire and Warwickshire Steam Railway, where we had a pleasant time being tugged along restfully. There's something about the rhythm of a steam train and the way it rocks the carriages as they clack over the jointed rails that you just don't find anywhere else. Least of all traveling in a horrendously noisy modern diesel train or in a Subaru with sporty pretensions. That said, the Subaru manages to be quieter than a modern diesel train even if its ride is not as smooth. It's also great at the country road journeys, maybe a bit low to the ground but sure-footed if you have to ease up the bank to squeeze past anyone. One aspect that needs work is the dreadful dashboard ergonomics. The car looks as if someone got a handful of essentials, threw them at a mock-up, then placed them in the finished item wherever they had landed. Particularly cumbersome is accessing chip information, which can pop up in the center of the fascia at the top or in front of the driver. It was interesting to see that over almost 1,700 miles the car had averaged 34.2 mpg. Enthusiasts for safety info on the move will also appreciate Subaru's EyeSight suite of electronic aids that look out for dangers you may have missed. Still a good idea to keep your eyes peeled though.